Welcome back, y'all. Today I'm doing a full set. This was actually a Christmas themed full set. Sorry, I'm late, but this is with one of the nails we had to make her a press on using the pop off method. So what that is using a base coat, a peel off base coat, apply it pretty thick, and then let it dry. Apply the other tips. Come back to that one. Apply the tip and cut it to the length, but don't do any shaping. If you have to thin it out any as far as width, just clip it with a straight clipper. You don't want to do filing on it because it will pop off. Like this base coat works really well. Um so it's liable to pop off at any second. So I did the application as normal, and then I took the nail off, and then I did any filing. I went under the nail, made sure that sticky base coat was out of it or whatever, buff the cuticle area. I literally just made her a press on pretty much. And so with this client, like I said, she had some lifting, but her nail had grew like pretty thick, I guess you could say. What am I trying to say? Pretty much like when I had this happen to me, my nail was super super thin to the point where I wasn't even trying to remove it. I was taking off some gel. I mean, not gel. I was taking off some acrylic. I was doing a soak off, and I was using a sanding band to take off the last bit. And I seen white, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I'm looking, and I'm like, "Damn, I got lifting." And long story short, I fucked around and drilled off of my lifting. It sounds painful, but it wasn't. But that's how thin it was. So I drilled off the lifting. I cut off what was left, and then my nail was pretty much just like a damn. I'll have to put a picture, but it was like somebody took my nail and took a Sharpie and just kind of made a random line and then just pulled it off. Like it was healed up underneath, and then the nail was just like crazy. And I just put a press on over it. It was literally back to normal in 3 months. But I did not do that with this client. I didn't cut off all that lifting. I just cut it as short as it would go because, like I said, her nail was thicker, so it had a little bit more foundation. And she has more room to just grow it out and let it reattach itself versus cutting it all off and letting it reattach itself that way. Because if, as long as you don't hurt it to the point where it will not reattach itself, if you let the nail do its thing, it will. So like I said, I didn't see a need to just cut her super super short. She can wear that press on, and if too much pressure hits it, it's gonna pop off. It's not going to rip off that nail, because like I said, her nail was thick enough. um my nails was just thin as shit. That's why I went ahead and cut it down. And also because the color we used was like a clear pink, and there was no use in you know doing that knowing that it would show. Like that's just not cute. So anyway, back to the set. This is a Christmas themed set. I'm definitely late as hell, but I'm still gonna upload it because, I mean, why not? It's content. And something I wanted to touch on that I noticed while I was editing this video is what you just witnessed. Like the fact that I can have a bead, stop mid laying it, do something else, and then come back to it and not worry about it drying up too fast. That comes from knowing ratio. Like knowing ratio is super important because if you know what your bead is about to do, you can do anything with it. You don't have to scramble and try to attack it too fast because you already know how to work with it. And anytime I teach classes, or if anyone just needs pointers or whatever, I always tell people ratio is like the number one thing to acrylic. If you have your ratio down pat, that's like I said, that's the number one thing because it cuts down on time. It gives you a better application. Better application means less filing, less drilling. So if you're struggling with time, with shaping, with a lot of things, one of the first things I want you to take a step back and look at is your ratio. How is your ratio looking like? Are you always having to fight the acrylic, chasing it around? And I literally can do a bead and stop and go do something else. Find an acrylic, do whatever I gotta do. Now, I ain't saying just let it sit there, but y'all get what I'm saying. I don't have to, if I need to stop and go to something on my phone, answer a call real quick, I can do that because I know I know my acrylic pretty much. When you don't know the acrylic and when you're struggling and trying to fight with it, you can't take a second away from it because, like I said, you're struggling with the acrylic. But when you understand ratio and when you have that perfect bead that's not too wet, not too dry, it gives you time to play with it. You're not rushing, you're not fighting against it. It's just like perfect harmony. So I highly recommend hone them skills in, hone them ratio skills in, because that's literally the biggest thing to acrylic. But anyway, that first nail, because I know some people are probably gonna ask, that pointer nail, it's because when I'm cutting length with my clients, I cut a little bit and then I let them look at it. I don't just go ahead and cut it off, because a lot of times you cut it off and then people are like, dang, I wish I would have went longer. So I just do a little notch, I let them look at it, and then I ask them, do you want me to go longer or shorter? And that way, if they do want it longer, I can go longer and I don't have to worry about, oh damn, let me add another tip. Now sometimes if they tell you after the fact, after you done cut all of them, that's different. But sometimes it'd be hard for clients to see how long is this nail gonna actually be. So they'll tell you something shorter, and then when you cut it, they're like, damn. So like I said, I cut a little bit first and let them look. I don't cut all the nail off. And for my beginners, something you really want to consider about when you're encapsulating nails is sometimes the encapsulated nail can get kind of chunky, because you're having to make sure that you're covering the whole nail, and sometimes the little glitter and snowflakes and whatever else will kind of be in the way. Like, y'all are gonna see the tips of the snowflake will poke out. The top gets a little bulky on this nail because it's like you're just trying to make sure that the actual nail itself is covered, and any parts that's extra bulky or whatever you can always fix with your filing and drilling. That's just something to keep in mind with encapsulating. Encapsulated nails are never going to be as perfect and flat as a solid color nail, because you're trying to cover something. And sometimes if you're doing it and it's something that's flat, obviously, like a marble design, well, I don't even consider that encapsulation. When I say encapsulation, I mean things put inside the nail. Something like this, a snowflake, it can be easier if you're doing a completely solid nail, or completely clear, or a thin color. But when you start doing stuff like marble, where it's like, y'all know, it's not completely flat, and then you're trying to put snowflakes on top, depending on how long the nail is, sometimes, like I said, it can get bulky. So don't feel bad about it. It is what it is. As long as you go back and fix it with filing and drilling, that's all that matters. And see, this right here is the perfect example. It's super chunky over there on my left side, because you're just trying to make sure that the actual nail itself, like, the nail bed is getting covered. So sometimes you have to kind of go ham on the acrylic, because you want to make sure that's covered above anything. And then when you drill, it's like you even everything out. this thumb ends up getting its little shine cut off because it went out of frame. So just enjoy this a little bit. And right here, you're just gonna see me go back and encapsulate this pinky nail. I like to wait until it's fully dry sometimes when you're dealing with glitters, especially chunky ones, because they'll try to move around on you. So it's just easier to come back to it when it's fully dry and you don't have to worry about that glitter moving too much. This is what I was meaning when I was saying like I can move stuff around my desk and come back to it and it's still just as workable as it was when I first put it down, if not even more, because like I said, I understand the ratio. I have it to a T. And it takes a while. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years at this point. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight, but it definitely happens from learning different brands and being able to adapt to them. And also being able to adapt the elements, because y'all know, like I said, this was during winter. Well, I guess it is still winter, but this is when it was really cold in Mississippi, and like as low as like 30. A lot of these videos y'all are gonna see, these next couple uploads are all from December. So that's another reason why some nails might come out a little wonky, is because some of them just dry too fast. And in Mississippi, it'll be cold in the morning and then be hot in the evening. So it's like sometimes you don't have that perfect acetone ratio, or you have too much acetone, too much liquid. So yeah, some nails will dry a little too fast or dry a little too slow. You just got to be able to adapt with it. And like I always tell people, if all else fails, you can always come back and drill and file, especially if it's just one or two nails, because I found that, like I said, it'll be cold outside and you might pour a little bit too much monomer. Once you see on that first nail, okay, yeah, I poured too much, let me not wait as long to move these beads, then you just apply that with the rest of the nails. You don't keep messing up. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's really just about learning how to adapt to different environments, different temperatures, different products, different brushes even, because I finally realized I like brushes better that are longer like this and not as dense, because this brush is like a 12, but I have a 12 that is shorter and fatter, and like, yeah, they're both 12s, but they are completely different. So yeah, that being said, this is definitely my favorite brush I've had, period, in all my 4 years. And I say that like very honestly. And it's crazy because of course, if y'all seen that video, this is a brush from Dashboard Beauty. I'll put the link to my storefront and 10% off, I think, code. This brush is amazing, y'all. Honestly, I haven't used another brush since. The only time I use another brush is if I'm doing like an extra long nail and I want a brush that is just more denser so it can hold a little bit more. This brush can still hold a lot, don't get me wrong, but those really fat ones are good for doing a really long nail, especially if it's like a solid nail. And I'm trying to go ahead and just like one and done it. But when I did my like shout out for this brush, I included this clip because it just shows you how easy it makes encapsulating and just like laying the acrylic. Like, And if you've been having trouble with ratio and like you're having to fight the acrylic, I would definitely recommend this brush because it honestly makes application just that much easier. And I skipped the filing and drilling. I went straight to the design part. Um, I'm pretty much top coated the ring and thumbs so that way I could do the sweater design on top. I was originally going to do some hearts in the middle instead of just a typical sweater design, but honestly this polish was blowing me, so I just wiped it off and did a simple sweater design. I also felt like the hearts kind of took away from the Christmas. It was kind of giving more Valentine's, so yeah. is just some stone placement, y'all. I don't think stone placement has ever made it into any of my videos, to be honest. Because a lot of times it ends up getting out of frame, and I'll be so focused on this part because the glue is it's got an expiration on it. It's gonna dry, so you don't really have time to be fixing up cameras and like I do with the acrylic. And for anyone that's wondering, the super glue I just use Loctite. I know a lot of people use different ones. I've been using Loctite for I don't know how long, or Gorilla Glue, but I like Loctite's applicator better. So that's the kind I use. And yes, I know I need a new wax pencil. Send me a new one, hell. Something I've been doing for a long time. I don't know if it's just me. I do not worry about making the placement exactly the same all the time. Sometimes I will, a lot of times I don't though. The placement will be different because I might not always have that same jewel 2 or 3 times. And also I think it just gives it more character. Certain sets do look better with, the exact same jewelry setups, but I like to kind of, spice it up. I don't want everything to be exactly the same. And then I'm just top coating the final the final result. A lot of times when I'm top coating, I'll go on top of the skin because I'm trying to avoid getting it on the gems. And it's so funny because I've had people ask me like, are you gonna leave that on there? And I'm like, why the fuck would I leave top coat just all on your cuticle like that? Like I see the concern, but like, who in their right mind would do that? Who would do that? So yeah, I'm just top coating these nails. Like I said, I already did the other ones, the ring and the thumb, so I don't have to do those. And then I'm just making sure that there's no top coat left on my client's nail. And that's it, y'all. You're gonna see what the damaged nail looks like once I pop the nail off. It's completely fine. I didn't have to drill any of that base off or anything. It's just a regular old nail, and I just gave her some glue, a buffer, a file, and she can just glue it on as much as she wants to. Hell, as long as she got the set on, as long as she keeps up with that nail. Now I would always, if my client needed a replacement nail, I would just make them another one. Cause I know sometimes you can be on some drunk shit and it gets lost in the club. So yeah, this is the finished look, y'all. I think it looks really, really nice. I love it, and she's able to keep her whole set and not have to worry about the integrity of her actual nail bed. So yeah, y'all let me know what you think. Comment, subscribe, share, do all that, and I'll talk to y'all next time.